Logan is in Detroit. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show, Logan.
Hey, how's it going?
Better than I deserve, sir. How can I help?
I just had a question. I'm getting married here in about 45 days, and I'm only 20 years old, and I'm supposed to close on a house tomorrow. I just didn't know if it was a good idea with my financial situation.
Well, if you're contracted to close, you've signed a contract. I don't know if it matters. You're closing.
Yes, however, I can back out up until closing. As far as
Based on what?
At least that's just what my realtor told me, to be honest.
I'm sorry?
That's just what my realtor told me.
Well, yeah, you can back out, but you could get sued for backing out because you've signed a contract, and the contract says that you've agreed to buy a piece of property, and unless there's a thing that says unless there's an I change my mind clause in the contract, is there some kind of an out in the contract that gives you an out?
Yes, in reading it said I could back out and get my deposit back up until the day of closing.
For any reason?
Any reason, yes, I'm pretty sure.
It's a highly unusual real estate contract.
Huh.
Most contracts are there to cause you to, you've agreed to buy somebody's house, they've agreed to sell it to you, and you're contractually bound to do so if the if you get your financing and you get your elements of the contract are met. Okay, so let's pretend that this is true. It's unusual, but it's possible that you can just walk away. Of course, the seller is not going to be happy, right?
No, I don't believe they would be.
No, I'm thinking not, yeah. They think they have their house sold. They think there's a closing tomorrow.
Yes.
How much is the house?
The house is, we're buying it for $134,000.
And what is your income and what's her income?
So my income, roughly before overtime, is about $40,000 a year gross.
Mm-hmm. And hers?
And her income is about $20,000 a year gross.
Mm-hmm. And do you have debt?
We do own two vehicles that we owe on. I still owe $12,500 on mine, mm-hmm. and she owes $9,000 on hers. But other than that, we have no debt. Mm-hmm. She does plan on going. She's going to school right now, and we do have to pay for her last year of schooling.
Without debt?
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to pay cash for it. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's she studying?
She's studying psychology.
To do what?
She wants to be a licensed professional counselor.
Okay. She has to have a master's degree to do that, right?
Yeah, so she plans on going straight into her master's, which we've been trying to decide what's the best financial way to go through that.
Well, there's only one way, and that's pay for it or find the scholarships. I mean, going into debt for a master's in psychology would be ludicrous. Going into debt, period, for a degree is a bad idea, but that's a really bad idea. Well, I wouldn't, if you'd have called me ahead of time and said, do I buy a house, I would have said absolutely not. Number one, I'd wait till I get married, and I'm married a year, and I've got my finances stable, and I would rent something cheap and not be a homeowner. Number two, I would have you to be debt-free. And number three, I'd have you having this education plan figured out long before you buy a house. So how much are you putting down?
We're only putting 5% down,
So how much?
I think $6,000-7,000 is what we're putting down.
And where are you getting that?
So I have right now about $10,000 in the bank, $3,000 in investments, and then another $8,000 in my 401.
Okay, all right. Well, I would stop adding to your 401, and I would. Here's where I'm torn. Okay, Logan. No, you should not buy a house. You should not buy a house, but you gave your word, and I'm pretty disturbed about this idea that you can just walk away from and break your word. That bothers me. So I'm not sure. That's what a contract is. I mean, you shake hands, you sign a piece of paper, and say, I'm going to do a deal. Oh, changed my mind. You know, people get hurt when you do that. Those sellers, you know, they're expecting to move. They're expecting to use that money to buy another house. They have plans, and now you're just going to jerk the rug out from under them. And so I can't tell you to do that. I just don't think that's ethical. Even if the contract allows it the day before you're closing, that's not the way you do business. It's not the way you should behave. So, no, you shouldn't be buying a house. But, no, I'm not going to tell you to just back out on a deal that you said you were going to do. So I don't know what kind of a contract you've signed here. I mean, I've done probably 3,000 real estate transactions, and I've never had one that allowed me the day before closing to just change my mind without being in violation of the contract, without breaking the deal. It's just strange. I've done stuff where I had 30 days of due diligence, and during that 30 days, I can look the property over. I can decide what I'm going to do on an investment property in particular or a development property. And we can do soil testing. We can do all kinds of things. During that time, I can decide not to buy it for any reason. But by the time I get up the day before closing, I've never been in a deal where, and if I was a seller, I'd be pissed. So I just can't tell you to do that. It doesn't feel ethical to me. It doesn't feel right. But no, you should not be buying a house. So I don't know what to tell you to do, other than you probably ought to go ahead and buy this house because you said you were going to. And then that's going to slow down and mess up some of the other stuff you were trying to do. But such is life. You got time to recover. You're only 20.